Mr. Sullivan, you've been sworn in,
Yes, I have.
and you've already testified before.
I have.
Before us. There was some discussion last evening about a 911 call that was placed by a Mark West employee concerning a fire that I believe took place on December 9th of 2009. Do you recall hearing that discussion?
Yes, I do.
And were you able to track down Mark West's corporate records regarding phone calls made from a cell phone held by a Mark West employee by the name of Brian Zrimm, Z-R-I-M-M?
I did.
And I've marked this as prior to today's hearing as Exhibit 24. And I believe I've handed it out to all the board members already. And I think, Ms. Holloway, you wanted this? And is this the essentially the e-bill that Mark West received for Mr. Zrimm's corporate cell phone account?
Yes, it is.
And is this the type of bill that Mark West keeps in the ordinary course of business?
Yes.
Does this bill indicate that Mr. Zrimm phoned 911 emergency on December 9th, 2009 at 7:36 a.m.?
Yes, it does.
And did one or more emergency responders from either the Hickory Fire Department or the Mount Pleasant Fire Department respond to that?
Yes, it did.
Do you know the names of the firefighters that responded? Was one of them Court Bozick?
Yes.
Was the other Jay Rodensky?
Yes.
Another issue that came up last night, and I don't know if Ms. O'Lear is here yet or if she's coming, but there was a request for the material safety data sheet for triethylene glycol. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
I've marked as Exhibit 25 a material safety data sheet for triethylene glycol. Is this the material safety data sheet for?
Yes, it is.
And are the potential health effects identified in Section 2 of the material data safety sheet? Or,
Yes.
I'm sorry, material safety data sheet.
Yes, they are.
And with respect to eyes, could you read that for us?
It says, splashing in the eye causes irritation with transitory disturbances of corneal, a medical word, epithelium. However, these effects diminish and no permanent injury is expected. Vapors are non-irritating.
And what about with respect to exposure to skin?
Prolonged or repeated contact may cause skin irritation.
What about ingestion?
No adverse effects.
And what about inhalation of
No adverse health effects expected from inhalation.
Thanks. I have extra copies of these if anybody wants a copy. And Mr. Sullivan, there was some discussion last evening also about efforts made by Mark West to work with Allegheny Power to obtain three-phase high voltage power to our compressor stations, not just here in Mount Pleasant, but in Washington County in general. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
And has Mark West been attempting to get or obtain three-phase power for its compressor station since June 2008?
Yes, we have.
And does an employee from Allegheny Power, Allegheny Energy, by the name of Rodney Liston ring a bell?
Yes, he's a project manager.
Is that who you've been working with in order to hopefully obtain three-phase power?
It's one of them.
Is Scott Curcio, and I'll spell it for you, darling, C-U-R-C-I-O, Is he a lines engineer designer at Allegheny Power
Yeah.
that you've been working with?
Yes, he is.
And recently, have you been working with the general manager for state and local government for Allegheny Power in order to hopefully obtain three-phase power sooner rather than later?
Yes, we have.
And I've already marked as Exhibit 26 an email from Michael Kreiner. And Michael Kreiner, that's the general manager for state and local government for Allegheny. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And the email is dated November 20th, 2009, from Mr. Kreiner to Dean Miller. Who is Dean Miller?
He's a construction manager for Mark West.
And you're copied on this email?
Yes.
And why was this email sent from Mr. Kreiner to Mr. Miller with you being copied?
Primarily, they were seeking a Mark West employee to attend an event, an immediate event that was to promote additional power throughout the state of Pennsylvania. They wanted local businesses and people who were in need to help represent them.
And did you attend that
Yes, I
press
did.
conference?
Yes.
And was there a press release
Yes, there was.
issued as a result of that?
Yes.
And are you quoted in that press release?
Yes, I am.
Were you accurately quoted?
Well, as close as the news gets.
There was a bit of discussion as well about flares. And I believe it was Mr. Fiore that raised the question about the flare at Fulton Station.
Yes.
Do you recall what his inquiry was about?
Yes, I do.
Was there an issue raised about, again, the flare essentially has become bigger since the lights have been turned off?
Yeah.
Is that coincidental?
It is.
And why has the flare gotten bigger at this time of the year?
Ambient changes that reflect a broad range change from night to day is a primary reason.
So are you saying because it goes down to 30 degrees at night and gets up to 60 during the day?
We get a broad fluctuation in our gas due to that change in temperature through our cooling, so therefore, when that takes place, we get additional separation in glycol.
Okay. And would you expect the flare to just become smaller as during the summer goes? It's not such a difference in ambient air temperature?
Yeah, when the fluctuations, the degree of fluctuations change, and we're not having to manually adjust everything, and we get additional controls in place, then that will be taken care of.
And there was some discussion also last evening about basically compressor stations, what they do, why they're necessary to have in the first place. In order to commercially produce natural gas in southwestern Pennsylvania, do you need pipelines and compressor stations in order to do that?
Yes, we do.